So there's a lot of discussion that goes around, and we're going to get into some of that right now. And you might notice if you're watching this in video form on the YouTube, thank you so much. Please subscribe, like all of that other happy horse stuff. And
You can say shit.
You're noticing that things are a little different around here. And thank you for that, Bradie. That is, please do not adjust your sets. That is Bradie's actual size that you're seeing. And that's because Bradie has been quarantined. Bradie has a little bit of everything that you could imagine looking it up on WebMD. And therefore, we've had to call in a pinch hitter, so to speak. The new Pete Rose of live audio wrestling, Mr. KJ Cross Country Johnson. How have you been, KJ?
I've been great.
Good.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. Where have you been?
I ran a marathon.
True.
No. Little known fact. I trained Terry Fox, and ever since then, I've just kept up the dream.
That's interesting because he never finished that one. Anyway, Bradie, how are you actually feeling today?
Well, I just realized the term instant regret and what it means. I felt like I knew what it meant before, but I definitely know what it means now. I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I'm good because I'm with you beautiful people.
All right. How is it? You know what? Doesn't matter where you are. As soon as you say those two words, every one of us did the same thing, didn't we? We all did the Marilyn Manson singing the song Beautiful People in our heads as soon as you said it, right? And all of you out there just did the same thing. And if you didn't do it then, you just fucking did it now.
It's like SmackDown in 2001 all over again.
If it was being sung by the old guy at Six Flags, that is wild stuff. All right, listen. I want to get to this for a second here because we've talked about the world of professional wrestling. We just had a documentary, the Mr. McMahon documentary, come out on Netflix, you guys. But there's always these like takes in wrestling. You know what I mean? Everybody, Paul Heyman is the greatest, promoter of all time. That could be a take, right? But then there's these things called hot takes, where the conventional thinking that everybody out there has about one thing, you might have a completely opposite brain thinking of that one. For example, myself, hot take, I think the Beatles are overrated in the music industry.
Oh.
Well, okay, so hot take, a different definition could be a troubleshoot. And not because you're trying to figure something out or fix something, but your shooting could get you into trouble. So hot takes could be taken out of context if not explained properly.
But at the same time, hot takes should always be taken with a grain of salt. Because of that, right? We tell everybody, listen, lighten up, smarten up. Everybody has an opinion, and this might just be ours. He might even not mean it. How about that? We might just be pulling your leg just to get a reaction because we want to hear what your hot takes are as well. In the world of professional wrestling, what is your hot takes? And we decided, KJ, he's going to join us on this one. Bradie is going to mediate this, so to speak, right? And I figured we could go back and forth. Right? You give one KJ, I'll give a hot take, and we'll go back and forth until, we get a few of these things out there and be ready to explain yourself.
Before we start, I've got one hot take, and it has nothing to do with professional wrestling, so I'll get it out of the way now.
All right.
Hot take. Nick Diaz is the best MMA fighter of all time. All right, boys, so how do you want to do this?
Oh boy.
I mean, I will flip the coin, and I will defer to the visiting team, and that is KJ. And I'll take the kickoff in the second half.
Did you flip the coin?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yes. I always go heads. Yeah. But I mean, my first and number one hot take, women's wrestling is still not very good or entertaining.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right.
Yeah. Well, for me as a consumer, barring 4 women that I've kind of thought of, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, I would say Becky Lynch, Io Sky. Everybody else is just not very good. I see that it's very choreographed all the time. You can tell that it's been like step for step, shot for shot, practiced religiously. And to me, that's really phony, comes off as really hokey, and comes off as really boring. I don't know if the men can hide it better because I'm sure they're choreographed just as much, if not more. But the fact that the women are always coming off as really coordinated, or excuse me, really hand fed and still not very coordinated, just I find it really, really boring and dull. It's never been something that I liked in the first place. And then when the women's revolution started, they're like, now it's great. And somebody needs to be like, it's actually not.
Are
5% of it is okay.
Are you sad that they can vote?
I'm perfectly fine that they can vote. I'm perfectly fine that they can vote. Should they have rights? No.
Okay, all right.
Okay, all right. Let me step in here as the moderator. To any of the last female listeners that we did have, there's only so much that these Gucci hats, jewelry, and good looks can do to keep you here. I apologize, but please stick around. KJ, why do you hate women, and when did that develop?
From an early age. I would say, 1, 2 o'clock, when I was, a couple of hours old, really started to develop the tension. I'm not saying that all of it is bad. I think my main crux is that it's very, very choreographed and scripted, at least in the WWE's point of view. So if it was just given a bit more of the leeway and the freedom that some of the people seem to be able to get in their matches, or at least try, I would feel a little bit more inclined to say that this is more entertaining. As it stands right now, it comes off really hokey, phony, and I'm not interested. Not to mention the storylines are kind of cookie cutter, and they don't have a lot of female writers to actually figure out what women can fight about.
I think that's a great line you just said there.
Yeah,
KJ.
that was actually pretty.
The fact that there isn't enough female writers to write stuff for female wrestlers, I think that's fantastic. I think maybe that's the thing that's missing.
That's
maybe
the Larry.
That's what
That's
makes
the Larry David, Jerry Seinfeld technique. They didn't know how to write for Elaine. They had to they had to bring in people specifically to write concepts for Elaine because they just couldn't relate to it. They couldn't understand what would be in Elaine's brain.
All right. Well, I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to stick to that vein that you started with this whole thing, and I'm going to give you my first hot take. And that is this. Trish Stratus is not Canada's greatest female wrestler.
Oh.
Okay.
And who is?
In fact, I will go so far as to say the greatest female wrestler to come out of Canada is Gail Kim.
Okay, I can see the argument. Explain why.
And I said this, and think about what I said when I said the title of this.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest female wrestler. I didn't say diva.
Or
I didn't say model in Muscle Mag magazine. I didn't say person that used to read the mail for the law. I didn't say any of those things. I said greatest female wrestler.
How fucked up is that I forgot that Trish used to read the mail on this show back in the day?
All the other stuff is absolutely 100% irrefutable because Trish is all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a hell of a performer. Don't get it twisted. But I think if you're talking about female wrestling, and goes back to what you were saying, KJ, about the women's wrestling not being believable enough, being a little too choreographed.
Mm-hmm.
Not with Gail. Gail was always a performer that you knew you were going to get something special out there. Now, I would almost even go so far as to say maybe it had something more to do with the timing, the way the world worked, as to maybe why Gail Kim didn't get the notoriety and push that she's so rightfully deserved.
Well, Scott D'Amore did wonders with her in TNA.
And she has a wonderful role with Impact, right? Doing absolutely fantastic things. No doubt about it. Also, I mean, come on. Married to a chef who has his own protein bars.
Oh, so I get a story about Gail. This is back in 2003, I believe.
Okay.
This is the WWE had picked her up and basically given her developmental. Well, you know as well as I do, and if anybody listening or watching doesn't know, she cut her teeth here in Ontario real quick. Like they threw her through every gym. Rob Wago, Eric Young, like anybody who was around who had some credibility, they put her in that gym. Joey Legend was handling her. There was a few people that really had their hands on her to make her good as they could be really quick. 100%. The WWE wanted her on TV as ASAP. She comes into the gym and we're training punches and stuff. And she has never trained a punch. She's never taken one, never thrown one yet. Like this is early. And I had never done one either. I was like maybe my first month or 2 months in. So I'm just getting through the basics of the bumping and everything. And Jared's like, put her in the corner. And he's like, lay into her. I'm like, what? He's like, lay into her. He's like, don't worry about it. You're little. You're fine. Even if you hit her at full force, she's going to fucking slap you and twist you around. Dude, I smashed Gail that night. Me and Gail went hard on each other, bro. We were beating the shit out of each other that night. I knew then. I was like, this girl's tougher than I am, and she's going to make it a lot farther than I ever would. And sure enough, 3 or 4 months later, she was on TV killing it.
Yeah, one hell of a performer and an even better wrestler and representative for actual women's wrestling. Ahead of her time, Gail Kim.
And a pretty good human being at the end of the day.
I mean, come on.
Like, really, like just a sweetheart. It's hard to find anyone that talks anything bad about Gail.
Yeah.
Yeah. KJ, let's get another hot take out of you, sir. What do you got for us?
Well, the bloodline is boring and needs to get the fuck out of the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
Yeah. I've never been a big proponent of the bloodline, just outright. From the very beginning, if I'm honest. I've enjoyed some bits, thought the Sami Zayn bit was quite good, but I feel now that they have been, not to say overexposed, but they're just overcrowding the scene. It's kind of like the Judgment Day on Raw. I'm getting a little sick of them as well. I think they're just crowding too much of the program, and it's like they have so much talent in the WWE right now, and it's just being oversaturated with the Samoan dynasty. And when Nia Jax won the title, I know that she's not part of the bloodline, but it's kind of a side piece. All I could scream at was just nepotism. It just feels very nepotism. The Rock has gained some power. Roman Reigns has got some power, and it just feels like it's bleeding downwards to the point where Kevin Owens has been feuding with the bloodline for 4 years.
Well, you know what the payoff is, right? It's Kevin Owens versus the Tribal Cheeks. Rikishi will come back and do his retirement match against Kevin Owens.
And he'll go over. And that's the sad bit.
I think at this point, the storyline might be that Kevin Owens ends up getting Stockholmed by the bloodline.
It's
Stockholmed right into AEW.
He's been stuck with him for so darn long.
It's been too long, and it's been too much, and it just covers too much of the top area.
All right. Well, sticking with that theme again, I'll give you another one, KJ.
We're doing good.
Characters in pro wrestling are better than athletes in pro wrestling.
100%.
Yeah, that's not even a hot take, bro. This is
no, it is. It is, because in this day and age, when we have a company called AEW, who definitely, and companies like New Japan and ROH and all these, and they're concentrating a lot more on the athleticism.
TNA,
even TNA and even WWE.
Yeah, they're starting to go in that direction.
A lot more on the athleticism, but I'm talking old school characters that you knew and you got behind, very much so. I could go back and talk about the Hulk Hogans of the world, the Mr. Perfects of the world. Bring it forward a little bit, and you're talking about the Mankind's and the fucking Undertakers of the world. Okay? Listen, Kurt Angle is one hell of a wrestler and a funny guy and a good performer, but that's one in a handful of a lot that really aren't. Shelton Benjamin is one hell of a wrestler.
The number one thing about Kurt Angle that everyone remembers is Milkomania. That was his character point.
Tiny cowboy hats and getting goofed on. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The character part of it. So the athleticism is what's going to get somebody hurt seriously bad inside of a ring on a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
The character is what's going to get somebody over in that same ring on that same TV show.
Yeah.
So characters over athletes all day long.
100%.
KJ?
Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Six have only been accepted because they are abusing the name of Bray Wyatt. I told you these hot takes were hot takes.
Okay.
I told you they were.
Balls on you, bro. Yeah, you're right. It's bull. I've said I kind of like I went in that direction at first, then I took a little step back. And the only thing good about this thing is Dexter Lumis. At this fucking point, Dexter Lumis looks like a psycho. Just put the fucking belt on him now.
All right. So not a fan of women, Samoans, or dead people is what I'm gathering from you, KJ.
I love Bray Wyatt.
Okay.
I love Bray Wyatt dearly, dearly, dearly. I loved everything he did.
His brother.
What I have against the brother is that they are just basically hanging their hat on the fact that Bray Wyatt existed. No. I feel like if you take Bray Wyatt out of the equation, if he was either still alive or if he was off television or he's been blackballed from WWE. Let's say he's been blackballed from WWE. We can't say his name, can't say his likeness, nothing, but he is alive. But he's been blackballed. He's off doing something. That faction means significantly less, if not nothing, because they are, again, I would say a lot of spooky nonsense that doesn't have very much direction to it. And whatever direction that they're trying to put behind it seems to be on the basis of Bray Wyatt. I haven't seen a big impact. I haven't seen too much buzz created. And whenever there is buzz created, it's, oh, what a touching moment. What a touching tribute. Like, it all has to be attributed to this man that's passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's not going to get it gets no sympathy out of me because because it's very, very transparent to me. And I don't like that type of transparency.
All right. I will see your recognition of a dead man and raise you with this. Chris Benoit belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, boy.
No. I don't even care what your context is. I know he was your friend, but I don't even give a fuck, bro. No. Moving on.
I would like to hear him out. I've heard the rumblings from people that are just dicks. So I would like to hear from someone who's half a dick but knows them.
Okay.
So here's game. This is what is the criteria. And now we know what took him out of the talk, but what is the criteria to be in the Hall of Fame as a professional wrestler and a performer? Chris Benoit meets all of those criteria. He was also part of a very big faction. If you think about it, when they were the first faction to make that jump back over from WCW back over to WWE, and they could do no wrong whatsoever. Obviously, we have to factor in the conversation about CTE and the heinous acts that Chris committed.
Mm-hmm.
That is separating the art from the artist. Does Michael Jackson belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Absolutely he does, for the art that he created.
It's different, though. Michael was never proven guilty.
Bro.
I'm not saying he wasn't. We're not getting into that fucking shit.
Chris.
What's that?
Either was Chris. He was never proven guilty.
Yeah, no, the evidence said he killed his wife and child.
evidence. The evidence also said that Michael Jackson touched children.
But not enough to make it a fucking solid
Hey, so
statement.
you're saying he should have done more?
Maybe if they would have walked in and he had his finger up the then yes, you would have been like, all right, we caught him red-handed, because they caught Chris literally red-handed hanging in his gym with a note that said, I just fucking killed everybody.
Coincidence.
Okay. I'm almost scared to ask KJ what's his next hot take. Do you have another one, KJ?
Yeah, I've got 2 more, but these last 2, in fairness, are a lot more tame than the other ones.
I'm just wrapping up.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Tid's
So I'll take the opposite route now, and Tid can take the wheel. But for me, is AEW has flattened out all of its stars.
That's truth. Yeah. But elaborate for anyone who disagrees with you.
Certainly, yeah. I feel, there was a lot of buzz created over somebody like an MJF, for example.
Mhm.
And now I'm starting to feel that he's kind of just one in the crowd. I think they've put too much emphasis on, as Tid kind of said earlier, about the wrestling action, and they've pivoted almost too far. They veered too left into the extreme. Like when you looked at Swerve and Hangman Page, I don't think anybody's going to talk about Swerve and Hangman Page as much as they're going to talk about the spots in which they did.
Mhm.
And to me, it goes kind of to the debate of whether or not the company's over or whether or not the stars are over. When I hear the chants of ECW, I always think, is that the crowd saying that they love the company, or is that the crowd saying that they love the wrestler? It's hard to distinguish. And so any of the people that are there now in AEW, they're not mega stars. None of them you can point to and be like, number one guy, definitively selling merch out the gate, up the wazoo. Doesn't happen. Whereas you could look over and you could immediately say 2 top stars of WWE, please name them. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, probably going to be the 2 that you immediately think of. And those are unquestionably mega stars. Whereas everybody in AEW seems like they're on the level playing field, and that's to the fault of the creative team.
They've had so many opportunities to make massive stars. One of the things that's happened, and it goes to your first point here, if you have an eye for wrestling and an eye for the business, you would have seen MJF years ago and been like, this is the future of the business. This guy has everything going for him.
100%.
And 5 years in, 6 years in now, you realize he's the biggest fucking mark in the entire locker room.
All right.
He's coming out there wearing all of former gear. He's doing commercials that used to, the Bret Hart one that he's ripped off. He is the biggest mark in the entire company. I think it's awesome that he's earning that money, but holy fuck, was I wrong about MJF? He's shit. He's fucking garbage, man. He's literally garbage. And when he's hooked up with that scuzz bucket, it helped fucking solidify it. So anyway, Chris, what do you got for me?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the name that you mentioned, because I'll give you one right here. Bret Hart isn't even in the top 3 of the Hart family.
What the fuck?
Oh, wow. Okay. Excuse me.
You're going to put Bruce in there?
I'm not a big Bret Hart fan, but I definitely want to hear that. I'm reading his book right now. He's a fucking whore, by the way.
Great book.
Yes, he is.
Tremendous book, but he's an absolute fucking whore.
He was a stoner and a fucking whore.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kind of guy.
Please do. Who are the 1 and 2?
Number 1 and number 2 or number 1? Number 1, Owen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can see that argument.
2,
I don't agree with it, but
number 2, Teddy.
What the fuck is wrong with you tonight, dude? What are you talking about? Teddy's a fucking lunatic.
Bret Hart can't do triple flips off of a cage.
Fuck your triple flips.
Bret Hart did nothing after his match with Shawn Michaels. Did absolutely nothing but get helped back to the back.
That was
Teddy Hart did all kinds of shit and then jumped off a cage onto people.
That was
fuck it. Mike Hart's the best Hart I've ever met. We're gonna fucking just talk stupid. Like, fuck, dude, come on.
I love that he's saying he did nothing after. That was the 19th year of his 22-year career.
I realized something a year and a half ago, and this is why I completely disagree with you. Bret Hart is the best worker of my generation. And I'm saying, like, from the day I was born in '84 till now.
He's worked himself into believing that the Montreal screw job.
I'm not talking about personal shit. I'm not talking about personal shit, which is crazy that we've been saying this for years. You guys have been saying this for a long time, and now everybody's starting to jump on the bandwagon. What did Kevin Nash put out today? Oh, how he thinks the Montreal screw job was at work. Oh, okay. Thanks for listening to the fucking guys that were there the whole time. Like, Jesus Christ, we've been saying this forever. Anyway, I'm not talking about Bret as a person. Okay. I can't even listen to Bret's interviews because he just won't clear his fucking throat. He's always got phlegm in his throat. Like, come on, man. I'm Canadian too. You just got to go and you're good. Right. I can't listen to him talk. I think he's crazy as shit. I honestly think Bret Hart is probably one of the funniest guys ever. Dry, like, sense of humor. He's super fucking funny. Kevin Nash mentions that as well. I think he's the best wrestler of my generation. I don't think there's anybody better than Bret.
No, it's okay to be wrong. No, all right, KJ, your last one of the day, please.
Mm-hmm. AEW is going out of business by 2034.
I mean, that's
what
like
a fucking gap, bro.
Wow, that's like saying, hey, I think that fucking Saquon Barkley is going to run for 1 yard.
That is only 10 years, guys. And we know how fast years go in this day and age.
All 10
years from now, they're out of it. This is the one that I don't want to happen, but this is the one that I can believe will happen. And if by 2034 I am doing this show,
you won't be.
I am doing this.
Yes, you will be. It'll be yours.
He'll be the owner of this show.
It'll be yours.
I will be the one to say, "I told you so." Back in 2024, that these guys are going down the tubes.
All right.
And it's through a lot of the stuff that I kind of mentioned already about the lack of any real big stars, the fact that they've veered too far left into the extreme, the fact that they've kind of limited their audience to just marks, MJF at the top of them, if you want to believe Bradie, but you've limited your audience to just marks and.
Okay.
You're not going to build your audience because there's no actual characters in the show, except for Tony Storm. There's no actual characters in that company. They spend money like it's water, which is very WCW-esque. The amount that you're spending on Final Countdown is outrageous.
It's not worth it.
The amount of times that you're using it is outrageous. So they're doing all of these things that kind of like a billionaire who is probably even a bigger mark than anybody even realizes is what a billionaire who wants to be a wrestling promoter does. And that is spend, listen to too many people who he thinks know better, which they don't, because a lot of them look out for themselves. And in that process, all of these little things are going to chip away at that dam until it explodes. And when it does, it explodes big fucking time. We've seen it time and time again. 2034, it's out of business. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. But at the same time, I can absolutely see it happening.
I think you're right, but I think you're 4 years off. I think by 2030, this is done.
Oh, you think even shorter than that? Okay, yeah. That's fair.
I'm gonna say by 11:15 tonight. My guess. All right, there you go. Listen, I'm gonna give you the last one, and then we're gonna call this thing a wrap. And this one, are you ready for this, boys?
Yep.
Yes.
Drugs make wrestling better. And here's why I say that. Because it goes back to what I said before about characters. You don't have enough drugs in wrestling anymore. Everybody's wanting to be healthy and live this lifestyle. Nobody sits on a bus anymore and holds up baggies of cash and baggies of pills and tries to tell the camera, this is what wrestling is all about. That just doesn't happen anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's about a healthy lifestyle and smoothies and green shakes and trying to be an athlete and live. Damn it. There's a couple of things that I like about my wrestling, and I like that they're hot trash, and I like that they go hard. All right? And the only way you can do that is by abusing somas in a hallway until you stagger in and out of other people's fucking hotel rooms. All right?
Fucking settle down, Spicoli. Jesus Christ. Well, okay. Well,
I told you, ladies and gentlemen, I told you this is going to be about hot takes. And that is the exact opposite of what you think is the conventional norm. So, what I'm
really
asking all of
now,
you,
fucker.
I know, I got to go to Mexico. Anyways, what I'm asking all of you is, what are your hot takes? What are the hot takes that you have out there, ladies and gentlemen? Leave them in those comments or comment on some of these silly ones that you've heard here today. Some of them may be things that we believe in. Most of them are not. But every single one of them is said and meant to be taken in a comedic tone. Please remember that.
Thanks for watching that video. If you like that video and you want to see some other stuff, check out our catalog here on YouTube. Or you can find us on any podcast provider anywhere in the world.
Yep.